Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's 8 o'clock. You know where you're at. It's time to talk. Like, special big shout out to Calzuro. You know what it is. And look what I have, everybody. I have that new Rebel in my hand. You know, this is the only shoe that IFU on one source. Look at that. And this is a beautiful shoe. It can be thermally disinfected. It can be sterilized. Make sure you use that code time to talk. Treat your feet. Get you an additional $17.99 off your shoes. Look at that. Beautiful shoe. As you can see, I'm not in my normal setting. Sometimes life throws things at us. And with it being sterile processing week, I just wanted to make sure that we understand that when life throws things at us, you have to adapt. You have to change things. And this being sterile processing week, what does that staff engagement look like when you have to change the settings? I had to change the settings for this particular episode. So we're going to change the settings and continue the conversation from last week with some very special family members who had to deal with some things and just, how did that feel going through what they had to go through? We're going to talk to one of our family members who took a new job and getting adjusted to the job and having to, how did that engagement look during sterile processing week? I'm excited for it. And again, for everybody that did celebrate this week, happy sterile processing week. I know it's coming to a close. Hopefully everybody got to celebrate with their teams and enjoyed the festivities of the week, got your C-suites involved, and just had a really good time presenting to your teams and enjoying that time and letting them know how important they were to the facility. I want to bring in Rebecca, Arlene, and Brian. Welcome the family back to the platform. Welcome, family. How y'all doing?
Hey,
Well,
how are
you're
you?
welcome again. So, sterile processing week was upon us this week. And for everybody that doesn't know, I know that Arlene, Brian, y'all were down there, had the hurricane and everything happen. And sterile processing week this week looked a little bit different for y'all.
Yeah.
Yes,
Last
sir.
week we talked a little bit about staff engagement. And what I wanted to bring this back because we get into the whole let's celebrate, and not to bring a damper on sterile processing week, but when you're dealing with something of a major like natural disaster and you got staff that's dealing with their own personal things and you as the leaders and they're asking you to celebrate, how do you get them to be in any kind of festive mood after what y'all just went through? How does that engagement look?
It's very different this year than it's ever been, certainly. Morale's a little low in my neck of the woods. Um, but we're happy to be here. We're happy to be able to return to work. We have shared meals this week, stories, needs that staff had needs this week to return to work. Um, so really it was just trying to kind of embrace everything we do currently have after our natural disaster. We have our life, we have our families, things like that. So we were happy to just break bread this week. We really were.
I know I saw some different things for posted that a lot of the family store processing community were saying, hey, if you need anything, if let us know and let us send you whatever we can send you. We'll put together care packages, boxes, bags. We'll ship it to you. Do whatever we need to do. That I felt, the camaraderie amongst everybody trying to make sure from a sterile process and family part, like, hey, they're our brothers and sisters too. Let's see what we can do. Um,
Yeah, the
I
outpour of support from our industry is has been really overwhelming for me. Um, there's certainly been a number of people who have reached out, sent stuff that was distributed out to, my team and family and anybody in need, really. Um, and just I'm so thankful for our SPD family and our network who really have shown me who they are in the last 3 weeks. during this natural disaster, and I'm forever eternally grateful. I really am, that people thought that much of us down here, knowing what we were going through, to really show the support that they did. It was very heartwarming, and I am truly humbled by it. I really am.
And Mr. I can't go no further than, I have to bring and ask Brian, I know that this is Sterile Processing Week. I know that he is the man of the hour. He has, came in and he's, taken Calzuro by storm. He's been our winner of, the latest pair of Rebels. He's going to come. Brian, I got you. We're right here. I see you, sir. For you, sir, what was your engagement like this week?
I mean, I agree with Arlene, but I also took it to give my staff it was like a wake up thing. It's funny how we all pull together when in crisis and things that happen. And I just asked this question. Well, why is it so hard for us to be able to pull together to do things like this when there's not a crisis? Mm-hmm. Being able to do these particular things just on a daily basis, because you never know what someone is going through or what their situations may be, or just, people come to work every day because they have to, but you don't know the struggle that these particular individuals deal with in order to do so. Mm-hmm. And we had a conversation about that today, and I had done some things, Arlene would tell you, I had already said I wasn't doing anything. That changed once I got to work and I saw some of my staff and they're like, oh, you didn't do this and this. So I did it. Not so much for them, but because I just felt like I needed to get out of the funk that I was in with everything that's going on. I mean, I agree. I think it was a teachable moment, and I'm hoping and praying that, they see the goodness at all times and not just feel like this is what we got to do every time a disaster happens,
So I guess for the main point for staff returning after a disaster of this nature, for staff returning, was it any kind of celebratory moves? How do you get people to be engaged in, okay, this is a week of celebration. After this week, I still have real life that I have to deal with. How you want me to be happy about a week? And I still have real life issues that still have to be resolved after this week.
Well, I can only speak for me. I did ask a lot of questions with different things. Yeah. And there are people that don't want to tell you when they're in need and when they need something or something that they may need to get done. I understand that. We all have those prides, and especially those of us as men, we have big prides and we're not going to say anything. So, just having those personal conversations and just letting people know, look, I'm here. If I have to come out of my pocket to do things, I let them know that's what I choose to do. It's not something you're ever going to hear again. It's not something I'm going to go and brag to people about. And I've been with my staff long enough for them to know that when they need me, I'm gonna do it. If I got to sacrifice and don't do certain things, I'm okay with doing so, because I mean, don't want to make this biblical, but I'm gonna just be honest with you. I know God got me with it, so I will make those sacrifices. I will do what I need to do to ensure that the people that are around me or the people that I deal with daily they're okay. I think somebody said something the other day. You always have to be mindful of the people that are watching you, and you don't always know who's watching you. So I think Salandria said the other day, it's my reputation that I must uphold and that I got to take care of. And right. You might not like me. You might have some things that you want to say or whatever the things that are, but you will never say that I don't have a heart. You'll never say that I'm not that person that's going to be there to help or give you my last to make sure that you're okay. So with my staff, that was one of the things that, we had those types of conversations, really, what do you need? I have one particular person, he will not tell you anything. Mm-hmm. But I tell people, I listen. I don't listen to respond, I listen to hear. And it's the things that he did not say that told me what he needed.
Okay. Rebecca, different spectrum. I know you just took over as manager of a department.
Congratulations.
And,
Thank you.
and then taking a new role and this being your first sterile processing week in a new position, how was that gaining, or how was your sterile processing week as your first sterile processing week as the manager?
So this is a facility that I worked at a few years ago as an educator. After a year, I left to pursue an education position elsewhere. And when I saw the manager position open up, I was like, do I want to go back there? And I ended up like, I went back, right? So for me, it wasn't as difficult of a transition into the facility and like building those relationships with those team members because most of the staff was still there. So I already had that rapport with the team. I already had those connections, and it was so good to be welcomed back. So nice. And everyone's like, yeah, you're back. This is awesome. Like, we're so excited to have you. And I'm like, wow, that makes me feel great. So being a manager this time around, it is different. I'm way more of an ear. I'm having to put way more types of fires out already, but also like my brain, my brain doesn't like to be organized. So like my team is seeing me like trying to adjust to these new waters, trying to like organize my tasks and like, so like one of the dudes looked at me today and he's like, you all right over there? You got like 5 different things going on. What are you doing right now, Rebecca? And I was like, I got it. Don't worry. But it's been good. Everyone's been so appreciative and thankful. The biggest thing for me is coming back in this capacity. Like I want my employees to be engaged. I want them to know that every morning I'm going to come in and I'm going to have a conversation with each person to see how they're doing, and how they're feeling. And then I'm going to help out when I can on the floor. I went in at 4 this morning because we were short-staffed overnights. So it was one of those things. It's like, all right, let's, I couldn't work overnight shift, but maybe tomorrow I will. But it's one of those things where like you have to let your crew be like, you have to be seen. And even working as a technician, like I'm going on a tangent here, y'all, but like you want to be seen, you want to be respected, you want to have your basic needs met in the workplace. So I try to like personally engage with people every day. And I like to use education as a tool to help people be present and, hey, I'm included in this decision making because my opinion actually counts for something.
Okay. So, and just in general, when you're doing these engagements and you're having these one-on-ones, and this is for everybody, when you're having these one-on-ones, and as Brian said, you're noticing when that employee's having a bad day or when they're not saying anything, and you're engaging in, okay, something's not quite right. Those tough conversations. How do you have those? In your case, Rebecca, you're coming back where you used to work there. You're coming back. Brian, Arlene, y'all are coming off of a traumatic time for everybody. How do you have a tough conversation when it's already tough enough to have a regular conversation?
Some of the conversations need to be said in the moment. I mean, I happened to walk past a room today and saw somebody that was not compliant, and that conversation had to happen right away. I get we're all going through it, but you don't get to do less.
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of conversation had to happen on the spot today. It didn't have to be harsh. I don't need you tarred and feathered, but know that I see you. Anyone could have seen you. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
And for me, I just feel like this. Not every moment that occurs in that manner has to be a written. Sometimes it's a teachable moment, and sometimes you just have to. I think I said this the other day when we was there. You want people that's going to call you on your stuff, and if I feel as though it's just a conversation, it may be difficult, but guess what? It has to be had. And I would rather you feel comfortable enough with me to come to you and have that conversation instead of me saying, hey, can you come to the office and bring your union delegate with you? You know what I'm saying? So with these particular difficult situations, you know, I try to tell my staff all the time, you know, we can have these conversations. If you want to yell and scream, let's do it behind closed doors. But if you're going to do it in front of an audience, guess what? I'm going to help you. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to meet you where you are, but, you know, I try to say, I think humor helps a lot of things. And I tell you all the time, I don't have a problem with laughing at myself. If I have to make a fool of myself about certain things to get you to get it, then I will. You know, Arlene can attest, in the environment that we in, you know, staff feels like they do and say virtually anything that they feel like they want to say. But it's up to you to decide on how you want to respond to it. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, you know, it depends on the time. I mean, as a manager, and Rebecca, you just walking into, as a manager, there's a lot that's on your plate.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want to say, you know, you be like, wait a minute, did you? And then you just think about those particular, for me, I think about those particular people that I hear in my ear. Like, hey, you better not say that. And then you just think of another thing. I'm one of those people that try to think before I speak. Because words
I try to make my eyes be quiet, but I'm an eye talker. And my eyes say a lot. And even when I'm all like, what? And I'm not trying to be, I'll be like,
see, I need to learn those skills, guys, because people can see it on my face when something's wrong. And they're like, what's up? No, really, what's up?
Telling myself in a second.
I just try to, depending on what it is and depending on the situation, if I'm in a meeting with those particular people who are equal to me or higher up than me, and it's a difficult meeting and it's about something that I don't believe in, I'm not going to say a word, but my face is going to tell you what I want you to know deliberately. And I'm going to do it. We had a meeting today about something, and we had our RMD meeting, and there was, you know, the nurse managers was on this call, and I had to talk to them about making sure that the things that they do are the same, that if you make changes in your department and you have a person that is considered to be your champion, if the person that you put in that role has never signed the competencies stating that they're competent, you can't do that. You can't put them in it. They can't touch it. They can't do anything. And I had one tell me, well, you know, you guys got to understand, your job is your job and you don't have oversight. Okay. I could have met that person where she was. I said it nicely. She said it real harsh. So I had to think about it at that moment because, again, I wasn't on screen. When she said it, I put the camera on so you can see my face. And what I said was this: I understand what you're saying, but I need you to understand I have oversight for anything that is used as reusable medical devices. A part of that oversight is if your nurses are going to use it, touch it, do anything with it, if they're not competent, you cannot do it. That's not Brian's rule. That's the policy. So if you want to argue about it, we can talk about it offline. I can pull up the policy and let you read it, and you decide on what you want to do. Thank you. Is there any other questions?
Hey, guys, we got to take a quick commercial. But hey, we do have the 2 drawings tonight. We have one coming up very shortly. Make sure you put your comments in, get your comments in so you can get entered into the drawing. I see Brian already celebrating. I know it's going to come down. Hey, make sure that you get your names entered into the drawing. We're going to go to a quick commercial. We'll come back and we'll continue the conversation. Hey, right before the break, we were going into, hey, having those tough conversations, being able to control our facial emotions and making sure that we are, hey, not letting it get the best of us. But on the same token, let's talk about that part. When you, as Brian said, when you see the person that gave him that energy and trying to refrain from returning that energy, but you get it all day from people, what do? I know you say you try. Arlene say her eyes give it away. Rebecca say, "Look, I'm trying to learn all of that. I'm trying to practice all of that. I'm trying to let it. I'm trying to woo-saw every moment I get." But when it's consistent back and forth every day, what do?
Well, I've had, relationships with employees like that in the past. And it's hard because a lot of the time it could end up just being the way that your brain interprets what they're saying and the way their brain is interpreting what you're saying. So sometimes you can try to communicate so hard to this other person, but unfortunately, you guys are just going to butt heads. It's just the way it is. Like, we're all human. There are going to be people in our lives that we encounter that we just don't mesh with. This is life. But it's all about remaining professional. And if you need to scream at each other, disagree, it's got to be, it's hard. I mean, I tell myself this, but like, it's got to be appropriate. It's got to be professional. But most importantly, it's got to be off the floor. If you got to have it out with somebody, you never want to be like, if it's peer to peer, have it off the floor. You could have somebody from leadership there, but you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes leadership will fight with each other. I've been there. It's not fun. But you don't want the team to see that. And I've had a few hard conversations with people, and I found that like just being open, honest, transparent, I try to like keep my tone calm and low, and like a lot of the times, like if they're going through a personal situation, I'll try to let them know that, hey, I've gone through a lot of stuff in my own life, with my own family and trauma and all that stuff. So, hey, like maybe I can connect to you. Let me help you with some resources. What can I do to help you, kind of thing. Let's get to the root of why you fear doing certain things in the job. Like, why don't you want to work with this person? What about doing this makes you uncomfortable? Just try to get those feelings out. And it's something interesting is though, like I've been learning a little bit about body language. So when I see people like when they're talking to me, it's like I do a lot of like fidgeting with myself too.
There you go. That defensive pose.
So like if we're in the middle of
anything wrong.
when we're in the middle of a conversation and we start talking and all of a sudden you go like this, I know that you're not comfortable and the conversation needs to change or it needs to end. So that's a whole other factor to take in too and play into it. So
I think all of those are good. I think you said all of those are the key points. Like you said, you don't want that to be on the floor, going behind closed doors and having those leadership conversations, whereas your staff doesn't see that the leadership is not on one accord. I think that is an important part of it because if regardless of what you're going through, your staff needs to see that y'all are unified. And yes, you can behind closed doors, you can be, hey, whatever y'all need to have that knockdown, drag out, hash it out. But when you go back on the floor, that unified front is what's going to get you through whatever's going on in your department. So all good things, but
it's also about maintaining a culture too in your department, right? So like you have, if you are in the leadership group, you want to make sure that your team's not talking about each other, that people aren't being negative. There's no shift wars. Like, stop talking about third shift. They're working as hard as they can. First shift and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, don't talk about your coworkers. And then, from the leadership perspective, like you want to stop that attitude. But if you are working as a regular tech, like I used to be a follower, like I've always been pretty empathetic. So if people in the group feel a certain way, guess what? I'm gonna blend in with them because I want to be friends with everybody, right? So like, so here I am. Like, you need to make sure that you don't, if you stay away from that stuff. Ultimately, if you're gonna get anywhere, you need to just kind of align yourself with what the department's culture statement is, and that's what you got to go by.
Yeah, I think from the leadership part of it, I definitely think from a leadership standpoint, yeah, any of that stuff you have to, like, culture-wise, you definitely have to nip that in the bud. You can't be down there with them gossiping and being involved in that little he said, she said stuff that continues to, keep the department divided. Yeah, you can't have the shift wars. I think I saw a show that was dedicated to the shift wars, and
Yeah.
you can't go back first shift versus second versus thirds, because that'll just keep the animosity going in your department. And then if you don't have anybody working together, then what do you have? Do you have a complete department at that moment? And if you're trying to change the culture, if you're trying to change the culture, right? If you're trying to change the culture of something, it's up to you to change that, because it begins with the leader, right?
Exactly.
And I think that also plays into the sterile processing and OR relationship as well. That's a key one that's very difficult to align, but when it is aligned, it is so sweet. It is so game changing. Yeah, so like I went from one facility that everyone worked together. It was perfect. Everybody was just on board with each other. We learned from each other. It was great. And then now it used to be way more, SPD sucks, the OR sucks, they don't understand anything. And now it's at a point where everyone's so coming out of the pandemic, everyone's kind of going through a little bit of burnout. So everyone's kinder to each other. But there's also those attitudes within my department that are like, hey, the OR sucks, like they're doing something wrong, blah, 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 blah. But it's not, that doesn't help anything. Like we all need to understand that everyone's going through something right now and got to give them a chance. You know what I mean? That's not your problem as a technician to worry about. You report it to your leadership and then we deal with it. I mean, it's just going to keep you in a negative space.
So just based on that, what we're just talking about right now, and we're talking about engagement. So what does that look like? What does your SPD and OR engagement look like? Do you go to OR huddles? Do y'all have OR daily meetings to go over schedule? What does that look like for each of y'all facilities?
We do have daily huddles. We have OR huddles twice a day, an AM and a PM for a look ahead. Our team huddles, we have a team chat. So if we need to get something out real quick, we'll throw it onto our team's chat so we can see who's viewed it and who has not. That way the team, if they're gone that day, they have a reference to refer back to. Hey, this is the chat that occurred while you were out. So you can stay up to speed. But I think our huddles with the OR are supposed to be like 5 or 10 minutes. Or at like 45 now every huddle.
Okay.
So,
all right. Let me stop real quick. I just want to do a hard stop because I want to make sure that I'm giving the viewers what they deserve and what they need. It is actually time to draw our first contest winner. I'm going to have Sharon come in. We're going to get the first drawing out of the way. And we're going to put it on the screen and make sure that everybody can see the drawing as it takes in full effect. Here we go. I'm going to make the first drawing as we speak. We're going to get us a winner for our very first gift certificate right now. We can have a drum roll, please.
You couldn't have planned that one better.
All right, let's do it again. I want a pair so bad, but hey, let's do it again. All you have to do is place a comment in the comments and you can win this gift card. How much is it worth?
$150.
$150 going to Treat Your Feet.
Treat Your Feet. Here we go.
Let's see who's got it.
No sponsors.
None of the sponsors can get it.
You know what? This means that somebody could have commented in and they could have won. Where's Sharon Green Golden when you need
that was
her?
bad.
See, all the sponsors, I can't do nothing about it. Y'all see that this is a program, so I'm just letting y'all know.
Do nothing for it, and if I know, I'm going to give it to somebody. I don't even want to say who I want to win. We just gonna keep going.
No, Sharon Green. There we go.
Okay, we have a winner.
All right, where is she? And Angie, okay, must be present to win. So we're gonna wait a few minutes and see her when she gets on.
Angie, you got a comment.
Make sure she comments and let us know that she's watching.
You know you want them.
All right, so we lost Arlene.
I can't even.
Let's bring Yoda. It is not like that at all. I promise you, it's not like that.
The saga continues.
Look,
Gotta bring a couple pairs to HSPA.
I gotta make sure I put in a special order for her. So we were talking about that OR/SPD engagement. So y'all doing daily huddles, and you are communicating with the OR director, OR manager, and y'all do have some sort of line of communication that's open daily, so that y'all are communicating back and forth to address any issues in the moment, so they don't linger. And if something happens between the two versus surgical techs, SPD techs, that we don't let it go on until it festers into something else.
We had something where Brian, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, what we also did is we came together and we decided that what we were gonna do is I get to allow some of my staff who've never seen surgeries to go upstairs and experience that, so they can ask questions and they understand the severity and the importance of why they do what they do. We also have it to where she sends down her nurses and her techs to come to the area so that they understand the processes that we do and why we tell them, hey, we need you guys to make sure the cleaning at the point of use is done and those particular things, because they may understand the instruments, but they don't know the processes that we have to do in order to get them what they need. So I think just having that open line of communication, being able to talk to each other instead of at each other, it helps. I'm not going to say that it's always cordial, but it's an 80-20, honestly, I can say it's 80-20. We have that conversation, and sometimes it's brutal, and sometimes, you can't take it personal. And I've learned that. And even when you have, nurse managers with stuff, we have that conversation where humor sometimes breaks the ice on a lot of things. We've been with each other long enough to where we joke on each other real bad. So that's a good thing.
So do you have it where they don't want to come downstairs to see the process, or do they always say they'll send somebody and that person doesn't come? Or is it very engaging where they'll say, we want to see the process so we understand what you go through?
I think at the very beginning it was that way, to where they did not, because again, they took it as a form of punishment when they had to come to our area. But when you talk to people, sit down and have a conversation, I think the other part of it that we do, that the nurse manager, because again, at the facility that I'm at, we've had 5 different nurse managers in a 10-year span. So one of the things that we've always done is that every Friday is our educational days. So when there's something that's pressing, or if there's something that keeps occurring, what we would do is she would allow us to come up and speak for theirs, and we allow them to come down and speak for ours. Again, you have some people who have been there for a little bit that think they know the system, and they would speak on things not knowing that, wait a minute, the policy changed a long time ago. You scrubbed 15 years ago. It's not the same. So again, no one can argue the policy. And I think that was one of the things with the little thing that HSPA was doing. That was one of the things that, I kind of sort of picked up on, is that you can't dispute or argue a policy that's already there. It's not Brian's policy. And I think when you sit back and have those conversations, and sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's the inflection in your voice. It's the different things that you do. And like I try to explain when we go upstairs, I may be annoyed by some of the things that you do, but I try not to show that. I'd be like, look, I'm just trying to make sure that we're on the same page. So, you think about a way to do it and make it seem like, okay, well, maybe that person came up with it. You know, you guys came up with this. This is what you said. This is what you thought. Why don't we tweak it? Look at it from this viewpoint. And just, if it's in writing from someone else, it just comes across a lot better than you cramming something down someone's throat. So I think the open line of communication seems to be a lot better than what it was previous years, due to, look, we have to evolve. You have to make those changes, whether you want to or not. We can't keep having the same old thing of us against them. And then one of the things that I always ask is, it was us against them 2 years ago. What happened? I wait.
Right.
What changed? And when you say that, you know, a lot of people think when I say stuff like that I'm not. I'm trying to add some humor. When I say I'll wait, I'll be like, okay, I'll wait for you to tell me where the change is or what happened or what occurred. Because I know you can't, because it didn't. We can't do what we did 2 years ago and expect a change. And I think most smart people will tell you, if you keep doing the same thing the same way every single day and expect a different change, then what does that say? Is that not the definition of insanity?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Rebecca, Rebecca's same type of situation. How do they respond when you are the subject matter expert of sterile processing, when you go upstairs to explain something and your explanation is not what they want to hear, but you're the person that's in charge?
So at this particular facility, the dynamic has been a bit different. So I work with all of these leaders in the OR previously as an educator. So I also have existing relationships with them. So I'm kind of in a lucky spot here. So if I go, we do daily SPD huddles. We have daily OR huddles where we're both separate. And then once a week we meet for an hour. We spend a half hour going over case car audits and quality events that SPD is seeing coming down from the operating room. And then they discuss things that are going on. Now, if there are specialties that are having more issues than others, we have separate meetings with those lead RNs and their lead CSTs. And then we hammer those out individually. But during that 1 hour a week meeting, so we spend the first half hour going over quality events. And then the next half hour we spend together going over the schedule for the next couple of days. We go up to a week, which is we just started doing this, but it is helping to build that. This is what I need from you. This is what I need from you. Let's connect the dots. So we're starting to work together more, tackling IUSS as well. So when I present to them, hey, we're not complying as best as we could. Flash packs are getting discontinued. You know, we've got a lot of things that we need to work on here. I'm looked at as a subject matter expert. And when I ask them to explain something, I think we've come to a line where it's like, yep, you guys are definitely experts up here. We want to learn from you. We're the experts in our sterilizations, everything down here, but we want you to learn. So orientation, they come down and do a couple of days with us in the department, all areas of the department. Our crew goes up and observes surgery with a particular service, with our cardiac vascular service, and they watch open heart procedures. And those service leads used to be sterile processing technicians. So they're getting that whole, like, this is how I set the back table up. This is what I'm going to use this instrument for. This is how I put this retractor together, and this is what it's used for. So they're getting full circle education. And it's really helping to boost that engagement. When they come down from the OR, I know you guys see how that high that everyone's on when they come down from just watching a surgery. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
So
you remember the first one you watched, right?
Yeah, I watched a gastric sleeve surgery, and then 2 years later I had one.
See?
But my mind was blown. My mind was blown.
Mine was a Whipple.
Really?
I swear to God, it was the first case I ever saw was a Whipple.
That's awesome.
I was hooked. I needed to be a surgical tech right away. And then I went back to SPD.
But it's important. So, we can get heated and have, attitudes towards each other, but at the same time, we're both going through different stressors. Like, I don't know if your team lost a patient at some point. I don't know you don't know what's going on with my team. So taking that step back and just really trying to connect. But again, it's a little bit different in my neck of the woods because I already had these relationships established. So I didn't have to fight.
Arlene, that's the question while you were gone. It was when you go upstairs or you get called upstairs and you're the subject matter expert for SPD, do they look at you as an expert when you go upstairs? Do they value your opinion? And if you have that engagement, how does that come across?
They do respect my opinion when it comes to we need to stop the line or we need to stop think and react. They know I'm going to recite the standard and say why we can't do this and what kind of testing is going to have to occur to get back to doing this. But they do hear me, and it has come up in my new job where I've had to stop the line and have a patient woken up, and but it was all for the betterment of the patient. So they did hear me, they did stop, they did say, yeah, whatever you feel like is the best suggestion, we'll do that right now. And we did. So I do feel like they respect my position they put me in and the education I have, and that I'm going to recite the standard. And if I have an issue, I can always reach out to somebody else in our network, right?
Right.
Hey, this is occurring. Have you guys ever experienced this before? How did you react when you were going through it? If you something like that. But yeah, normally I don't have an issue with any leadership. We really do have open lines of communication.
I say y'all got people reminiscing. Joanne just said she remembered her first case was an open heart. See, I got people reminiscing back to when watching those first cases.
Because that's what really guided us to where we went to, right? That first case lit that spark, and it just kept it.
It changed everything.
Clinton said, are you suggesting that we have a new level of trust? Are you suggesting a new level of trust between SPD and the OR? Is that
you need it.
You both have to be able to trust each other's judgments, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to be able to call me on it if you listen to it and you're like, nah, that don't sound right. I want you to be able to say, hey, no, we're not going that route. But please tell me why. What's the rationale behind it? Why don't you want to go that route?
But I think that's for everybody on your team as well, right? So if they call them and say, hey, I need you to do such and such, they should have the confidence to say, oh, no, we don't do that. Or let me get somebody because we don't do that. That's what
I'll tell you something. It does start with education. You have to teach them how an IFU is applied in decontam, why I can't make this go faster, because this machine takes 45 minutes for this robot cycle, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to give them the proper understanding and education to understand our day-to-day processes so they stop asking those questions like, I need this quicker. When's it going to be done? Can you just one tray that? Like, they have to understand. It's like we have to go to classes with each other, but it all starts with education.
I like how they're always like, well, how long does the washer take? Or how long does the sterilizer take? Right. I still have to wash. I still have to decontaminate. I still have to assemble it, regardless of how long the machine takes.
So that also, if you have OR liaisons that are in and out of your department a lot, that's a good place to start. Because they're going to be the ones running back and forth between the rooms. And if you start to target them with your education and knowing how the process are work, guess what? That's going to go right up into that culture up in the OR. And you know what? The quicker you can get those people on the ground knowing your processes, the quicker you can start building that relationship.
The quicker you'll get 14 phone calls for the same incident.
I was about to say, isn't that the disruptor that they said they just sent the cart down to decon, they just sent that instrument down to decon, and then you get like all of those phone calls. Is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Ms. Golden just said one can't work without the other, except the knowledge base. So, I mean, yes, you got to have each other, but again, the education part of it. If they don't know how the process works,
your techs need to feel confident enough to, like, each instrument rack we have in the department, we have the service lead RN and the service lead tech. like their phone numbers and their names on those instrument carts. So if I've got a problem with a tray or I've got something going down, you need your techs to feel confident enough to call the leaders and let them know. Or if a room is calling down every 5 seconds for the same tray, you need them to feel empowered and okay enough to pick up the phone and call the room and say, hey guys, we're getting a lot of phone calls, but I just want to reiterate, it's in the sterilizer. It's going to be out in 20 minutes. But finding that confidence is hard. It's not easy, but when you engage with your crew enough and empower them with the education and give them what they need out of a career, you'll see some changes.
So we built that team, we built the engagement with the OR. You have them going to watch cases, you have the OR coming down to watch the processes. It's still some little gaps in there. They still make that phone calls. Somebody said Brian said he watched the burn patient. That was his first case that he saw. He saw a burn patient. So yes, everybody's going back to their first case that they actually got to see. So I started as a surgical tech, so mine don't count. So so we've got the engagement from both sides. So you have the OR somewhat engaged. They come down, they watch y'all processes. We go up, we watch cases so that we kind of understand where each person is coming from.
Right.
Yes? Okay. Trust is a vital component of success from both sides, we're assuming, right? That's going both ways. Both people need to trust that each person is going to do their part of the process.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you have to trust each other, but it takes a while to learn that trust. I saw something in the comments with Clinton. Do you suggest changing a whole service line? Can you reiterate on that, Clinton, please? Can you expand on that? I mean, what are you defining by change there? But yeah, I think you have to find a way to build trust with each other. And if you're screaming, and just like in your personal relationships at home, if you don't like that person, how do you know what I mean? You're not going to try to build trust with somebody you don't like.
Yeah.
So you have to try to find you got to find something in common.
And then if the person doesn't trust you, they're not going to come with you. They're not going to come to you with issues. They're going to feel like you're not going to address their concerns, and that trust isn't going to get built that way. So it's better to be able to trust somebody and know that when somebody comes to you with a concern, you're going to address it, you're going to give them an educated answer, and that the next time they're going to remember that and they're going to want to work with you. But that's really kind of, you have to establish that rapport with your co-leaders, because you're going to have to interact with them all the time.
But see, that's why I said it goes back to where I said, do y'all have those meetings where y'all are intermingling, going over the schedules, talking about what's needed, what's not needed, and establishing that co-working together? You're the leader upstairs, you're the leader downstairs, and y'all are showing the teams that y'all are working together so that they can see, hey, we can coexist. And let it start there, that y'all actually have some sort of teamwork. Dare I say teamwork?
Teamwork makes the dream work.
You got to bring it back down to your department, though, and immediately, honestly, talk to your team about what that conversation just transpired. I think that we need more transparency and leadership with our team. I'm sorry, my cat's screaming in the background. I hope you guys don't hear him.
I like what Ms. Golden just said. She said it's about the patient. You got to take your feelings out of the equation.
Facts, just facts.
It's just the facts.
But then
you can't manage personally.
No, you can't. You can't manage personally.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Being more transparent with the rest of your team about what you're talking about with the OR, it's important that everyone feels like they're a part of the discussion and a part of the decision making. Because honestly, sometimes if I haven't worked on the floor in a long time and I'm trying to redo a workflow, or if somebody has concerns and I go to rewrite it, sometimes it's not right because I haven't been on the floor in a long time. So you need to bring your team into these things and make them feel part of it. That's Gallup does the engagement surveys, and that's a part of it. They recognize, you want to be recognized. You feel like your opinion matters. Like those are some of the basic needs that employees want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
So
They want to feel like they're involved.
Right.
So that leads into my last thing I wanted to get y'all opinions on. It's opinions because we're family and we're just talking. Y'all each have y'all teams, and y'all been working with these teams and been a part of these teams for a while now. Team building exercises or team building functions and team building. What does that look like for each of you overall?
Growing your team.
What do you do for your team building?
Growing your team, getting them involved, giving them different levels of responsibilities. I'm going to send you to this class. I'm going to help you get this certification. Let's go to this conference together. I want you to come to this meeting with me because you have good insight here. Growing your team.
I've tried to encourage my team to participate in committees within our organization as well as outside of our organization. I try to encourage my team, if they don't have all of their certifications, to get them. Let's work on getting them. I'll order books. If we got to order books, let's do that.
Yeah.
What kind of education do you guys want to do this month? We have an education calendar, but we can always add more. Let's talk about, we have SOPs. We talk about every month, so many every month. Most of our steps and our SOPs, if they're wrong, it's found by our frontline staff.
Right.
But a thing for me is also that we need to make time to work with the frontline staff. There's too many off the floor leaders, and we need to have we have to have our boundaries, and we have to have balance. We need to get our own duties done. But I think it's important that we work with the team. You have to.
Yeah, what I wouldn't give for a day in decontainment, somebody would sit at my computer and answer the phone.
I know.
All right, Brian, before you answer, Brian, you know what time it is? It's time for my next drawing, Brian. It's time for my next drawing. All right,
Brandon, it does. Just with
get
her.
the last drawing out of the way. Let's do this one more time.
All right, everybody. Take about 30 seconds and put a comment in there. That's all it takes for you to win. Put your comment in. Green Golden, I believe you can win. We hope that the algorithm gives it to you, but we're going to trust the algorithm. All right. And if you don't win and Brian Reynolds win, I am just going to stand up and leave the building. That's what's going to happen. So we've had about 30 seconds. You guys ready? I see a new name in there. Okay, so that was our first winner. Somebody find Angie and tell her to say, hey, I am here. So she can get this. Well, you know what? Kenneth is going to work that out. All right, 3, 2, and let's go.
Yeah.
Star. I went
Congratulations, Star.
So Star, if you are here, Star already put it in there. She like treat my feet right now. I didn't have to lift for Star. You see her comment came right up. She like treat my feet.
Congratulations, Star.
All right. Congratulations. Hey, Kenneth, are we gonna do an alternate, or you wanna wait? If Angie, how would you like? Whatever you want to do, sir.
Let's go ahead and do an alternate just in case.
Ooh, Sandra, go to win this alternate. Hey, you deserve it. The algorithm has spoken. Okay, let's do one more. That one that came in from LinkedIn, everybody. Nope. Nope.
Is my name in there? I don't see my name in there.
No.
Rebecca,
another alternate right in a row.
Win?
I got another alternate, y'all.
Rebecca can win. She's like, yes, I can.
2 alternates right in a row.
All right. Rebecca has come in from LinkedIn as well. She's on screen, but she came in from LinkedIn. Okay, so
2 alternates ought to equal a pair, right?
I know, right?
I got you.
That's what I'm
I got you.
saying. Treat my feet.
Treat my feet.
she like treat my feet. So the winners have come. Rebecca, this is your second alternate. Oh, hey, you know what? I see what you're saying, Arlene. Hey, thanks for shopping. I'm gonna get on off the screen. Kenneth, is all you. And
I got you.
we only have a couple more minutes. Somebody find the people.
Yeah, or not. I mean, I like Angie.
It is serious this week. Serious.
I've enjoyed the conversation about staff engagement. We talked about what that looks like in crisis mode, what that looks like in new times. I think that everybody gets an understanding that we are stronger together when we can come together as a family and help out the people around us. I don't know. Well, I do know. On behalf of Time to Talk and Calzuro, we have, if y'all do know of any or people that have been affected by Hurricane Ian, we ourselves have pledged over 100 pair of shoes to victims of the hurricane that have been displaced with their belongings from the hurricane that need shoes and stuff to go to work. And just if they want to wear them every day, we don't care. We just know that we have shoes on standby for those people. We just need y'all to send us a list of names, and we'll make that happen for them. So y'all have my information. You have Sharon's information. So if you get us those names, we will make sure that they do get shoes and stuff of that nature from us. So from Calzuro and Time to Talk, we do have 100 pair of shoes for them. So that's our part that we could do just to make sure that the comfortability that we can do what we can do in these spaces as a team and as family members to make sure that people are taken care of in their time of need. Again, it is about helping. It is about how you engage, how that family comes together. And I enjoyed the conversation. I'm always glad when family comes together. Brian, I thought he was going to do it, but I saw people in the comments already coming for you, so I'm glad you didn't. It wasn't going to be pretty for you, my brother.
Oh, I didn't see it like that.
I was ready.
Rebecca, congratulations. Star, congratulations. We are here again. Time to Talk. Thanks you. Calzuro, thanks you for joining us. And next week, next Thursday, we'll be back here in this space again with family. Time to Talk. As always, we appreciate you. I thank you. And hey, next week, same time, same place. Thank you for coming to Time to Talk, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, before you go, one last thing. Please make sure for those of you who do not or who have not done it, please get your tickets for the Scrub Ball. Trust me, it is one of the best places and things that you can experience. It gives you, as sterile processing professionals, an opportunity to be able to put on not just your Sunday best, but to dress up like you're going to the Oscars, to put on your tuxedo. And the ladies, you guys get to put your ball gowns on. Please, please, please get your tickets. Go ahead and register because we would love to see you there.
Brian, real quick. How many outfits are you taking, Brian?
Well, for the Scrub Ball?
Yeah.
See, y'all go stop with that. But it'll be
all right. We'll make sure we was on the same page. We good. But yeah, definitely, as Brian said, make sure you get your tickets for Scrub Ball as well.
You should stop me there.
You should have asked that question of how many I'm gonna have for HSPA.
How many days is it?
For me, 7.
Okay, so you're gonna bring 21 outfits.
3 off, but yeah.
Do I win Calzuros for that? Your Calzuros. All right,
Rebecca. Send me a message. I got your Calzuros. You're good to go. I got your gift certificate. You're good to go. Thank y'all. We appreciate you. And this is what family do when we get together. We just have a good time.
See you guys later.
Thank you.